What's going on, everyone? I'm Travis Brown with the Eagle, alongside sports editor Robert Cessna. We're here at Davis Wade Stadium, where Texas A&M just lost to Mississippi State, 42-24. Their second loss of the season. Cease, overall thoughts on this game and another loss for the Aggies?
Yeah, just too many mistakes. I mean, last week we harped on the penalties. They had 9, 8 on the offense. Surprisingly, only one penalty in this game, but just way too many mistakes, all three phases. The blocked field goal, there was a couple more snaps, defense, 75-yard touchdown pass, fumble on quarterback, fumble on running back, just a lot of mistakes. And you can't overcome that on the road.
Yeah, early in the game, I believe I counted in the first half 4 opportunities for the defense to pull down interceptions. They just couldn't do it. Probably the most glaring was Antonio Johnson's, where if he would have hit him right in the chest, if he would have been able to grab it, he could have gone in for a pick 6 right there in Mississippi State's into the field. But I think the thing that most people are going to want to talk about in this game is the offense. Another game of what seemed to be somewhat kind of vanilla play calling, although they were able to move the ball a little bit better than in weeks past. What did you think of this offense? What did you think of the play calling in a game where the numbers were there, but the points weren't?
Yeah, the numbers were there. They made some plays. The problem is they have to complement each other. And once Mississippi State got their offense gone, then there's more pressure on A&M, and they had to throw more, which they didn't want to do, and they don't have enough veterans there, so it's kind of a compound thing, and it gets frustrating whether you're a player, a fan, or trying to, go ahead and put your finger on it, because they're not good enough. Once it gets a high-scoring game, they're going to lose because they just don't have the firepower. They don't have the line. They don't have the receivers now when Smith gets out. So when you see what happens, once it starts getting away, you knew it was almost name your score time. Mm-hmm. I felt.
Yeah, Max Johnson goes out in the fourth quarter with an injury to his left hand. Jordan Moko was walking on crutches, the boot on his left foot. Several guys didn't. Jake Johnson, McKinley Jackson, and Albert Regis all didn't play at all today. Injuries have seemingly reared their head to bite the Aggies so far right now. Haynes King had to come in the fourth quarter to mop up, and he actually threw 2 interceptions late in the game. You kind of brought it up there. Jimbo Fisher, of course, is going to harp execution. The reason the offense isn't working is execution. He said he had confidence in a system. It's just the players aren't executing. They have to perform better. They have to coach better. Is this a matter of execution, or does it get to a point in the season? When is the point in the season that it's not just execution, it's just they don't have the players, or the players aren't good enough?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see moving forward because they play Alabama. I go back, if a chain doesn't fumble and they score, it's 7-0. We don't know what happens in that situation, because what's kind of funny is that might change everything, because Mike Leach and his air raid offense ended up out-rushing A&M. And why? Because they were calling the shots, because A&M was behind. But once A&M falls behind, they can't call the shots. And Mississippi State called the blitzes at the right time. They rushed 3 and dropped back the right time, where A&M didn't. But once again, when you're ahead, it's amazing how many times that happens. And we're seeing A&M getting beat up. A&M won last week, but they got beat up. That was Arkansas's very physical seniors and juniors. Mississippi State seniors and juniors. You're seeing A&M getting beat up, and all those young players. And it's what's first, the chicken or the egg? Did Jimbo call a good game? No. I don't even think Durkin did. Once he did early when it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. But, when you're starting all those freshmen and sophomores so talented, I'll take one play, I think, when I wrote a column. Max Johnson does a heck of a job to turn a 17-yard loss into nothing. Mm-hmm. Next play, he throws it to Stewart. He drops a touchdown. If he catches that touchdown, that sideline has gone nuts, because Johnson make a heck of a play. Freshman makes a catch. But you know what? They get 3 points, and you're walking off and go, what the heck's going on?
If there was one small bright spot with the A&M offense, it was Musta Muhammad, who came alive in the second half, had a touchdown grab in the second half, and was a huge part of that drive to get that touchdown grab. But you talk about Mike Leach and their air raid offense running the ball. They're averaging about 80 yards per game rushing. They had over 100 at the halftime. They surpassed that. They were able to dictate that. It just seems like Mike Leach over the past 2 years has known exactly what to dial up against these Aggies.
Yeah, without a doubt. 4th and 1, he went for it in goal line. Sometimes he made the right call, and a lot of it is about coaching. There is something to be said for coaches. He's 9-4 now against A&M, and Jimbo dropped to 2-3 against Mississippi State. Right now, Mike Leach has better players, more experienced players, and this was supposed to be a toss-up, wasn't even close. But getting back to what you said, Mike Leach called a great game, but remember, it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter, and they had the ball twice, one time like 12 plays, 47 yards, no points. But you see, A&M's not good enough to take advantage of that stop. Every time A&M made a big mistake, Mississippi State made them pay.
Sure. DJ Durkin, you mentioned maybe not necessarily playing the best play calling today either. You thought the three-man front against Arkansas in the second half was moved their coaching grade to an A in that game. They went, of course, with the three-man front in a little different style, putting 7, 8 defensive backs back in the backfield, and they just couldn't get any pressure. Expand a little bit on what you think about DJ Durkin's play calling, because it seemed like three-man rush certainly wasn't getting there quick enough, and they weren't necessarily dialing up a whole lot of blitzes.
Yeah, but I did write down twice when he did blitz, Rogers burned him. One time, like for a 40-yard pass. And, it's hard to go back and look. But once again, when you have a senior, junior-oriented lineup, you can bring that fifth guy, and suddenly he makes a big difference. And, you're still throwing against 6 defenders, and it's tough to complete, what have you. So my point being is Durkin had to bring more pressure sometimes, left them open, and it'd be interesting because I did notice when he did try to bring it, and I think it goes back to Rogers read the keys a lot better, whereas last week Jefferson was looking more to run. Rogers never looks to run. He looked for the hot receiver, and I think he got him a couple times. And once again, that's just a good chess match. And you see A&M doesn't have the players or the experienced quarterback and wide receivers to take advantage of that.
So Jimbo Fisher says he has confidence in this offense. Layden Robinson, of course, backs up his coach, says they have confidence in this offense. Do you have confidence in this offense, or do you think that for an offense that a lot of people says doesn't have an identity, is this the identity? Is this as good as probably we're going to see from A&M this year?
Well, hopefully not, because that was nothing. I mean, they got their butt kicked today in the bottom line. They make some good plays, but the bottom line is 42-24. It was supposed to be a toss-up game. So if you're Jimbo, I feel you got a plan A and plan B. His plan A is always going to be run the football. Johnson has shown he can protect the football, but by protecting the football, he got his butt ripped about 5-6 times, 2 fumbles, and hurt a little bit, so he's going to get rid of the ball quicker because his linemen are not that good. Muhammad stepped up. Now he needs somebody else to step up. Stewart was targeted 10 times, caught 5. He's got to catch about 2 more of those, and maybe it's a game.
Yeah, you mentioned the fourth downs now because they went for fourth down, I believe, 2 more times and got them in this game. That makes them 9 for 12 opponents' fourth down conversion percentage against them. That will drop them heavily. Teams can just go against them on fourth down and usually get the yardage that they need. We'll close it out. What did I miss? What's your closing thoughts on this game?
Just Jimbo always says block out the noise. They did make a lot of good deals tonight. You look at the long kickoff return by a chain. They should score at the end of the first half. Why didn't they score? Because of a mistake. Muhammad, 20-yard punt return. Should score. They didn't. They made the plays, but we're all going to remember their gaffes. They had lots of gaffes. If you're driving home the 2 days from here, it's going to take you to go home, you can spend the 7-hour trip talking about all the mistakes A&M made. Whereas last week, driving down from Dallas, you talk about all the good things or the bad things Arkansas did. They're going to still have to fix those. The bottom line is they're not good enough to make all those mistakes they made today. And that's what it gets back to. You can't make all those mistakes.
And we would be remiss not to mention a couple of the low snap situation keeps continuing. You talk about what that play that Max Johnson could have turned a 17-yard loss, and he throws the ball away was a low snap, something that they're going to have to continue to look at and fix moving forward. Well, that's all the time we have here at Davis Wade Stadium. Be sure to check theeagle.com and tomorrow's Eagle for the recaps from today's game, plus video press conferences and videos like this one on there. We're about to get on and hit the road, but we'll see you back on Monday for Jimbo Fisher's press conference. Thanks so much, everyone.